Welcome to What the World Needs Now with hosts Tom Whisinnand and Josh Monroe. We hope that you're able to leave feeling encouraged and ready for another day of changing lives in the field of education as we speak with inspirational teachers from across the nation and world about what keeps their spark lit.
In this episode, we talk to Sarah Frayer, an intervention teacher at Friendship Public Charter School in Washington, D.C., about how she brings her nonstop energy and love for literature to her classroom every single day. Without any further ado, Sarah Frayer.
Sarah, thank you so much for being with us tonight. For our listeners who don't have the privilege of knowing who you are, could you tell us a little bit about your story? Who are you, where are you from, and what's your role in education?
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited. You guys are doing wonderful things, and thank you for this platform so we can meet other educators through this way and network. So I love it. First of all, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, so my name is Sarah Frayer. I am right now in the DC area where I teach. I'm an intervention teacher and a success coach for kindergarten and first grade teachers, where I coach the teachers and help them with their lessons. I'm originally from Tacoma, Washington, the other Washington, so Washington State. And I've been teaching for over 10 years. I think this is my 13th year in education. So I'm really excited. I know it's my calling. I love it. So yeah, that's pretty much. And I got my question. You said, how did I get into it? I just always knew that was for me. My parents in church, with Sunday school. When I got older, I got to work with the little ones, and I just kind of was like, oh, this seems really natural and fun. And then I started doing community service in high school, and that really pushed me to know that I was supposed to teach. And with me doing community service in high school, I was reading to children at an elementary school. And so I got to leave school early for a class to do community service. And it was like my junior, senior year. And I fell in love, and I was like, yes, this is it. This is it.
You just knew. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Right. It's a great feeling when you know that you're in the right place where your heart is meant to be.
Yeah.
You know, I tell my kids that all the time, Josh and Sarah, that I love my job. And they'll, at the end of the year, we're getting to the end of the year here, and they're like, oh, we know you love your job. Oh, we know that you love to be here. And I said, well, it's important. I hope one of my biggest hopes for any child that's in my classroom is that they find something in life, just like Sarah did, just like you did, Josh, just like I did, that they love to do.
Yeah.
So, good for you for finding that. Sarah, has there ever been a time in your career where you kind of like were questioning if it was the right thing, or if you lost that spark that initially got you in?
Yeah. There was a time like that. I think, to be honest with you, a lot of teachers sometimes have that moment because it can be exhausting, right? And sometimes with the exhaust and meeting the kids and then the pressure of standardized tests and everything like that, it's like, am I really meant for this? Because I am getting burnt out. And the burnout is real. And I was just like, I'm losing my love for it because I'm burnt out. And when I felt like that more than once, I would literally just take off for work, right? I would take off for work. Oh, I should have had it out. I should have showed my screen. So there's this post-it that my first year teaching, these students made this for me in North Carolina, where I first started teaching. And anytime that I feel like that, it helps me remember my why, and I remember the notes that they read to me. And I keep a lot of the notes that the students have read to me over the years. And sometimes when I feel really overwhelmed like that, like I said, and I don't want to bring that energy in front of no kids. And like a lot of times we can mask it, right? And I will mask it because you can't bring that to them. But there's sometimes, like I tell teachers, that you have to check your own social emotional. If you're really not okay, you gotta take off. That's what that time is for. It doesn't always mean like sick, like a cold. Like you can be exhausted, okay? And your body's telling you to relax. And so if I felt like that before, I would take a day off and I would reflect and I would read those cards and posters, the poster that they made for me of a wall of the reason why they love me. And that reminds me of my why, because it's bigger than me. It's for children and the impact that it does for them.
I think that that's important, that we always remember that why. Tom, I remember when you tweeted out some of the paintings that you get from kids, and your I don't know if you call it your wall of why, but that's how I view it when I see it on Twitter. Your wall of why. We gotta remember on those hard days, because there's a lot of them, and I think that that's something that a lot of people don't realize, because we're like this in front of our kids. We're happy all the time. We're putting on that smile because we have to be there for them.
Yeah.
But man, we've got those hard feelings too. Those big feelings that we teach kids about.
You know,
Yeah.
I love, Sarah, how you said that you have to be okay socially and emotionally. We are the leaders. We're there to model. If I know I'm not going to be okay, I have no business standing in front of a bunch of kids,
Yeah.
telling them to be okay if I don't take care of myself.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable, because I think teachers do have the whatever wall of, I am okay, I am a professional, but even as professionals, it's okay to just not be okay sometimes.
It's okay not to be okay, because we are humans. And I will tell my students, and to be honest with you, sometimes if I tell my students, like, Miss Frayer is just a little tired, and they can kind of tell, right? Because I'm like extra energized. So if I'm not bringing that, they're like, "Are you tired?" And I'm like, "I am a little tired." And sometimes when I'm open with them about, like, I might not go into detail, but I'm just like, "I'm tired." And they would just give a hug or write me a note, a sticky note. And I'm just like, "Oh, there goes the spark for a second. Thanks, y'all. I need that booster." So sometimes I would tell teachers, if you want to, just tell your students, because we're their role model, right? And if you let them know that there's times that you're not okay, but how you deal with that, then you are modeling to them how to be human and how to deal with it in a healthy way.
Yeah, and I love how you said more than once too that you've had this dip, because I had it early in my career, but unfortunately we've been not recording lately. And fortunately for me, because I had a kid, I've been in that dip with losing sleep and feeling like I'm going into work cranky all the time. But being upfront and honest with them is so amazing, and saying, "Hey guys, I know that I'm not all here today. I'm going to do the best I can. Can you give me the best that you can, and we can get through this?" And that relationship that you've built with all of them really comes out in those moments that we're not okay.
Yeah, it does.
I'm curious, when you are feeling those dips, what are things you do to reignite the spark, to get that inspiration back? Are there books you read, maybe movies? I love going to movies. There's certain movies I'll go to all the time. What are things that you do to reignite that spark?
So to read Night Spark, like, once again, like, I would read like letters or things from the kids that I got before. Meditate. I meditate, pray. I am like a believer of Christ, so I will pray to center me in my feelings. And also I'm a big fan of Ron Clark, and that was a movie that really inspired me. And before my teaching career, like, I remember seeing him on Oprah. Okay, when he got interviewed, I was in high school. I was like, "I'm going to be Ron Clark. I'm going to win an award with that, and I'm going to give it back to the kids." And when I saw him on Oprah, I was like, "Oh my goodness." And recently, did you see, Tom? I got to be on stage with him. And so that was a dream come true, because I'm like, I watched this movie to inspire me when sometimes I feel bad, because he persevered and he's still doing the work. So yeah, that's a movie that gets me every time.
I do have a little bit of teacher envy in that you got to probably meet him and see him, and my gosh, how cool is that?
It was mind blowing. It was amazing. It was on Zoom. And so I was like, "Oh my God, I want to meet him one day in person." But it was still just everything. And I was really nervous because first I was shocked that I got asked to speak at this conference. And I was like, "Who's the headliner? I got to sit with who?" I was like, oh, and there was like all these other big name educators and TikTok, and they're like, no, we found you and we love your energy. And they're like, can you put a proposal in of what you would talk about? And I was like, okay, sure. And I did it and I got selected. And I was like, oh my goodness. And he was amazing, just like you see him. And he was like, honey, fix your light, make sure your light is good. So he was like, he was so cool. And that was a really good experience with the people, teachers in Texas. And I met a lot of teachers. And then I got asked recently to come back in August to that Harris County because they love what I did. I was like, oh my goodness. And so I'm excited to go back and do another professional development with them.
That is awesome. You do. You have just a really contagious energy, and I can see why they would want you back. If there's a teacher that says, my gosh, I want to be like that. I want to present. I want to get out there. I want to share what I'm really good at. What advice would you have for them?
Just do it. Because I was nervous. Like, even though like I'm like bubbly energy, I was nervous. But I would say just do it and go over your notes. You know, if you talk to your colleagues, practice with colleagues. If you have the opportunity to present at your school or anything, like do that, right? So let me be honest with you. So I present for my district every Wednesday, right? As my position, I have to do professional every other Wednesday. Professional development for all the K through second grade teachers in the district. And so we all come together on Zoom. Before Zoom, we all meet in a big building at the district office. So that has over time gave me experience to speak and do professional development, right? And when I first got asked to do it, I wasn't in a leadership role. They just saw great things going in my classroom and was like, hey, can you present this to the teachers? And I was like, sure. But y'all, it is so different when you do it in front of people that you don't know. Because in the district, like you see them, I'm serious. So I was so nervous to do it in front of people I didn't know. But I was just
Ron Clark is there.
Yeah.
Nervous.
So I was like, Sarah, be a risk taker. As we would tell our students, like, be a risk taker. And so I just did it. And I was my authentic self. And I told my story and I showed my strategies. And that was it. So that's what I would tell people. If you want to go out here and speak to other schools, other teachers, do it. Just do it. Be yourself. Tell your authentic story and show your strategies, how they work for you, because we're all in this together, for real, you know? And it's like, we all learn best from each other. And it feels good to learn from someone that is doing that work with you, you know? Like Ron Clark, honey, he is still in the classroom, you know? He still teaches a class at his own school. I'm like, yes. So even though this is his school, he's an administrator. It's that part to know, like, yeah, he knows what I'm going through on Zoom, you know? I can relate. So just be yourself, tell your story, share your practice, and it'll work.
I think one of the most powerful parts there was be a risk taker, just like we tell our students to. We cannot tell them to do something if we're not willing to do it. You got to step out on that ledge and just take the leap of faith and know it's okay, right?
Yes.
Hey, I'm curious because I feel your energy. I'm pumped just sitting here. Like I could sit here and listen to you talk all day long.
Thank you.
How do you keep that inspiration going all year? Is it always this kind of energy? Like what kind of ways are you investing in kids? Are you building those relationships and reminding them how much you love them?
That's a very good question. So the first one about the way that I keep my energy is that I try to work out at least 4 days out the week. And that gets me going to like I said, that helps me mentally. Like if I go on a run for a few miles, if I walk, I'm like, ugh. But that keeps me going. And then I love music. Okay, so any type of music to get me pumped in the morning as I'm getting together or on my way to school. Or motivation talks. I love motivation talks, right? Because sometimes we need them. And I will listen to a good podcast or a good motivationer or a sermon from TD Jakes or something based on how I'm feeling to get me motivated of how I'm feeling. But usually it's music, all types of music. I am a music learner. I'm always singing, rapping, making a song up in class, and I'm like, "Ooh, I like that beat. I'm gonna bring that I'm gonna bring that into my lesson." So that's A. And then the way that I keep the students engaged to let them know that I love them is that I build those relationships with them to get to know them in their learning style. So that's very important because everyone learns in a different way. And you got to see like how you learn. Like some people are music inclined like me, some are kinesthetic, some are visual. So I'm being really sure that they know that I know their learning style and ask them like, how do you learn best? Or what do you like? What don't you like? You know, in the beginning of the year, I do that. And then I check in throughout the year too. And I make sure I bring all of who they are when I plan and do lessons. And the key thing is, y'all, I let them vote on me. So the best criticism that you can get is from your own students, okay? Before the supervisors come in giving your evaluation, at the end of the lessons, I let my students evaluate me. And so I'll tell teachers, listen, you got to set the tone so the kids can tell the truth. Let them know that it is okay to say that they didn't like the lesson or it was just okay, because they're going to be able to trust you and know that you're invested into their learning because you're taking their feedback. So at the end of my lessons, I always say, you guys, did you like it? Did you get the concept? Did it meet what you need? Thumbs up. If it was somewhere in the middle, kind of, but not all the way, you know, and if it was just like down, it goes, it was not working, thumbs down. And then I would ask them, like, if it was good, then why was it good, right? So I can keep adding that, right? If it was bad, why was it bad? If it was in the middle, always asking that why. And once again, that lets them know that I really love and care about them of who they are and that we are really in this learning process together.
Yeah, you really honor the individualism of each of your kids.
Yeah.
Style of learning, whether they like it or not. That's really powerful stuff, you know?
Right, on a lot of different levels too, because they're starting to build their metacognition through all of that too. Like, gosh, did I like this? Why? That thinking about your thinking, that's a powerful tool that kids have to know as they grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
And we want them to be lifelong learners, right? We want them to be lifelong learners. And I want them to love to learn. So they have to think of that why you like it or why you didn't like it to really process what that is that they're learning. So that makes them like part of it to show like they can learn and they love to learn. Or even when we make mistakes, you know, mistakes are proof that you are learning. Okay. And I tell them all the time, I am learning from you as well, because I love for them to come up and teach a concept after I feel like a child knows something. And that, honey, they will do it a whole different way. And I'd be like, oh, I didn't look at it like that. And then other kids be like, yes, I get it now. And I'd be like, well, thank you, Tom. Like, you taught that, honey. I'd be like,
Sometimes Tom teaches okay, yeah. Hey, we face a lot of things as educators and in education across the nation. What are some of the big rocks that you think are facing educators and the field of education today, Sarah?
yeah, that's a great question. So one thing that I feel like as educators, what we're facing right now is burnout. I feel like the burnout and the stress right now is real, because for some people that are on Zoom teaching from home, they got their whole babies, their family behind them, and then they're in charge of all the children in front of them. That can be very stressful of always being in one place of your home, and you're trying to take care of home while you're like literally teaching, right? So that's one thing. Or just even some of the stress or burnt out that teachers feel of being back in the building. Like for some of them, they had to get used to it of like wearing a mask and can they hear their teacher voice? Oh, I can't breathe. Can I take the mask off? You know? So I think right now we need a lot of empathy for teachers, and teachers need to have empathy for themselves. Okay. To say that we always want to put on we're the superheroes, and we are. But even superheroes need rest. And a great superhero knows their weakness and their strengths. And we all have weakness and strength. And if we are vulnerable about our weakness and our strength, we can tap into something or someone, or another coworker, or you guys' amazing show where we can learn from other educators to say, you know what, I'm going to take that skill that teacher said on that interview because that's how I feel, right? And so it's about being sure with yourself and being okay with how you're feeling, and that will help with the burnout with teachers that we're feeling right now in stress. It's just to be real with yourself. It goes back to, like I said earlier, it's okay not to be okay, but you have to be honest with yourself to handle that and handle it in a healthy way.
I think that's important to understand. It's got to be healthy ways that we deal with these emotions, because that's what we're trying to teach our kids.
Yeah.
And understanding superheroes take breaks too. I mean, Batman goes to the Bat Cave for a reason.
Yes.
Oh, hey, I'm curious. Are there any innovative programs or apps or curriculums that you're using with your students to help them be engaged during this time?
Yes, thank you for asking. So I started a nonprofit. It's called Reflective Pages. And what we do is give multicultural literature books to children. And we also make what we call like sub lessons that we give out to teacher and help them model. And so what that is it doesn't matter what curriculum you're using. If you need help with certain standards to kind of reteach, we make lessons that can help you with that. And we will bring in a multicultural book with that to go with that lesson. And we will model for you and guide you through it with your lesson. We already have them made, but we also like to get to know the teacher and who's in that classroom, so we can make sure that you are prepared to really go out and teach that. And so it's been great. It's been really, really good to get responses from students to be like, I love my books, and teachers to show that the kids really love the lesson, and they use some of the strategies that I've implemented in the lesson that they can use, because I'm a very like, I love activities, hands-on, creative ways of teaching. So I really implement that in the ELA curriculum for the sub lessons, especially around writing. I have this thing that I talk about how you can really teach writing through music, through movement and art. And so I showed, and they be like, wow, you broke that standard down. And I was like, yes. And if you can use these different ways of using music, using art and using movement, and movement can be dance, movement can be acting, and all of that comes into ELA that we create these sub plans for that goes with Common Core standards.
So if I want to know more about it, if I want to look or sign up, or where do I go to do that?
Yeah, thank you for asking. You can go to reflectivepages.com, or you can look on IG for Reflective Pages, and you might see some funny pictures of me where I dress up as the characters. That is one of my favorite things that I like to do, is to tell the story of dressing up like the character, and we give a little review of certain books and lessons that go along with it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
that sounds like a riot.
That is such a great resource for teachers to be able to access. What does school look like to you right now? Are you hybrid? Are you fully Zoom? Are you all in person?
Yeah, so right now I am hybrid. So I'm in the classroom, and it's fun to be back. And then some kids are still on Zoom. And then I have about 10 students that are in the classroom with me, and that is fun. It's great. I was telling Tom earlier that we just got back in, well, I just got back in the building in March, and some students were there for like a hub And then now it opened up to everyone, but all the kids aren't back yet. But it's been a great experience. To be honest with you, I didn't know I was gonna be this excited and love it, right? Like, like it's like the first day of school, like you're excited. But when I say it just sparked me to see the excitement of those kids and how they were so happy to be back. And even though with the mask and the distance, like we're giving air hugs, air fives, and thumbs up. And it's just great. It's really good to be back in the building.
I thought that was a pretty cool thing for us. We've been in person since August, but students also have the option to Zoom. But after last fourth quarter, it was really big to come back in August, and like, man, that was an automatic I'm ready for whatever now, because that sparks back.
Yes.
And it's kind of that reason that you go into teaching. Like, I love kids and I want to help them learn. It wasn't, gosh, do I need to get them ready for this test, or that? It was about, how do I get them to fall in love with school?
Yes. And let me tell you something. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little fearful. Tom knows this. Like, I caught COVID when it first broke out, and I was at the school. And that day that everybody got shut down, on that Friday 13th, and was like, we ain't coming back, and we thought it was like a week. I found out that I had COVID. So when I say this was like a big deal for me coming back, because I had dealt with anxiety afterwards, of like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm ever gonna come back in the building. Like, like when I had to go to pick up something the first time before the kids came to turn in our keys in June of last year, after we had been on Zoom, I literally had like a panic attack in the car before I went in the building. And it was really sad to me, because this is the magic. This is the place that I love. And I was just like, I don't know. But you guys, when I saw those kids, all and their joy, all whatever anxiety I was going to feel, it was out the door, because honey, their smiles with their eyes, and they're like, seeing their friends, I was like, yes, give me this. And so I didn't have time to tap into any anxiety if I was gonna have one, because it just made me so excited to see them happy.
It was incredible as we went back, and as you went back too, to see the joy, to see the passion for it wasn't school, let's be honest. It was to see each other and to see and be part of that group again, right?
Yes.
Like, so we send out a questionnaire before we have panelists, and Sarah, your questionnaire said that the biggest reward is when students come back and tell you how successful they're being in life.
Yeah.
And that's another piece that just yells and screams to me that education, yes, it's about grades, yes, it's about report cards and whatever else, but it really is about knowing each other and having that social aspect and that emotional connection. And so for you to say that, man, those kids coming back was the spark, it's magical, because I think that's so true.
Thank you. It really is, you guys. That is the highlight. Because when like when I have some of my students that are in college, I'll be like, whoa, you in college. And they're like, find me on Facebook and stuff, or their parents, like, would email me and find me on social media. It really does make my heart so joy, because they don't remember that test. They don't remember that test. They don't remember the test. They don't remember the test. What they remember is the way they felt. Yeah. Okay. They remember the way they felt. So when they come back and they're like, Miss Frayer, thank you for always inspiring me. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for making me feel comfortable, because now I bring that and I feel that and I look for that from all my teachers. And then they want to give that to other people, And I'm just like, yes, because that is what it's about, spreading that love. helping people to find their why. And once you find that why and you're working in it, honey, it does not feel like work. Like, is teacher getting burnt out? Yes, but it's quick for me to get back into it because it's fun and it's my life. That's what I'm called to do. Whether I'm teaching students, whether I'm coaching and teaching teachers that will help students, I'm still building a relationship that has to do with children, and that means everything.
Tom, I feel like that deserves a hell yes.
Hell yes. That's it.
It's not about, it is about what we teach them, but the most important thing is, how do they feel when they leave? Like, we have to make them feel they're valued, they're loved, they're cared for. And Sarah, you're doing a great job with that. I can feel it. Like, I love you. I want to be in your class right now.
Thank you. And I just want to iterate that the reason why that's so important, because it's always about building that relationship first, right? And one of the teacher awards that I got in my school for it was a Teacher of the Year award for within my school. It was because over time I've had like very high test. My students have had very high test scores on the standardized test, right? So people are like, "Well, Miss Frayer, how are you doing this?" And I tell them, "Y'all want to know the real formula? Get them to know you, you know them, and get them to learn to love, honey. That's all you need, okay? Because when my students that are quote unquote, really they don't really supposed to be there, but they in the 80th and 90th percentile on these standardized tests. So we take MAP out here, and it's the MAP test. And so when they see these students, and I'm like, yes, they come from low income, and yes, they are minorities, and who says who? They can still make it, but I let those children know that they are more than a number. And when they take those tests, and I step out that room and the test practice there, they have to know that, like I tell them before they take the test, I want you to know that you are more than a number, and this is just your time to show the world with your name on it that you know what you know, okay? So believe in yourself in this moment. And all I want you to do is try your best. Do not be scared of that test, because they don't know you, but you know what you know. And so this is just a way to show that you know it, right? And that's how it works, because I build that relationship with them. I build that confidence. And then they love to learn. And then they're like, yeah, I'm going to show them. Oh, they want to see if I know the answers to the test. Let me do it, right? And just do it. Just do it. And that helps with the whole anxiety of taking the test and all that. So I tell people, you want to know part of the success where my students have with it is I build that relationship with them.
That's huge. It's great teaching. It's great life lessons. It's just amazing. I would love to be a fly on the wall in your class and just watch it. It's like you just are amazing. That's just.
Oh, thank you.
Well, Sarah, at the end of every episode, we always ask what the world needs now. In the 60s, there was the song about what the world needs now, and there were mountains and rivers and all kinds of worries. But here we are in 2021. What does the world need now?
What the world needs now, I feel, is time to reflect, which we can have this time to reflect, right? And empathy. I feel like the world just needs empathy and reflect on our past, reflect on every day how we're doing and how we're going to move forward. And then with empathy, that's what our world needs, because we got to show that empathy and love to ourselves first and to each other. And we need that. We really need that. And in education, we need that. I want this world to know what educators need. I need them to realize that this is a lot that educators are doing. And I need them to show empathy to the educators and the students and the parents, right, of where we're at. Because I always believe that the parents are guardians, are their child's first teacher, right? But right now, honey, while they trying to work from home and teach and try to help their child on Zoom, even though the teacher's in front of them, they still need help because it's not the same on Zoom for real, for real. Like we can try, but that relationship is sometimes is not built the best for some teachers. They found that struggle to build that genuine relationship on Zoom like they would in the classroom. So empathy and reflection, that's what the world needs.
I love the reflection piece because that's such a huge part in teaching, and that's a huge part in life. Like if we can take moments to think about how can I be better, or in this moment when life's kind of bringing you down, like what's great about life right now? Like what can I reflect on to find greatness in? Man, our world really does need some more reflection in it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sarah, thank you so much for being with us tonight. This was an absolute joy. I fell in love with you tonight. I had so much fun. Thank you again.
Thank you. I had a ball with you guys too. I love your energy.
Oh, Sarah, it's been great.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. Hopefully you're ready for another week of changing lives. We're so thankful and appreciative that you took your time to listen to our guest, Sarah Frayer.
We hope that as you head out, you remember the biggest factor that plays into student success is you. Your love, your passion, your empathy, your dedication is exactly what the world needs now. Thank you for everything you do. Have a good one.